A United States fighter jet has just been shot down inside Iranian airspace. One American crew member has been pulled from hostile territory alive. The second is still missing. And right now, as you are hearing this, President Donald Trump has been formally briefed on the situation inside the Situation Room. This is not a hypothetical scenario. This is not a war game. This is a confirmed, active incident unfolding in real time during what has become the most significant American military confrontation in the Middle East since the Iraq War began over 2 decades ago. And before we go any further, I need you to understand something. What you're about to hear has been assembled from confirmed reporting across Reuters, Bloomberg, Al Jazeera, Fox News, and the United States Central Command itself. Every statistic, every casualty figure, every claim you will hear in this breakdown comes directly from these sources. No speculation, no filler. Just the verified reality of what is happening right now and why it matters to every single person watching this. Let us start with the incident itself. Bloomberg has confirmed that the United States military rescued one crew member from an F-15 fighter jet that was shot down over Iranian territory. The report identifies the aircraft as an F-15 and states that recovery operations for the second crew member are actively underway. Fox News has provided additional detail, specifying the aircraft as an F-15E Strike Eagle, which is a twin-seat, dual-role fighter designed for both air superiority and deep strike missions. According to Fox News reporting, one American pilot has been rescued from the crash site inside Iran, and search and rescue teams are currently working to locate and extract the second. From the Iranian side, Al Jazeera is reporting that Iranian state media announced the downing of the U.S. fighter jet over Iranian territory, and that Iranian forces have independently launched their own search operation for the crew. Al Jazeera's live coverage includes the detail that Iran claims its air defenses brought down the aircraft, though the precise weapon system used has not been officially confirmed by either side as of the latest available reporting. This matters enormously because it demonstrates something that many analysts had been questioning since this conflict began. Despite weeks of sustained American and Israeli airstrikes across Iran, Tehran's integrated air defense network has not been fully neutralized. The ability to bring down a frontline American combat aircraft, one of the most capable fighter jets in the world, tells us that Iran retains meaningful capacity to contest its own airspace, even under extraordinary pressure. Now, to understand the full weight of this moment, we need to zoom out and look at the broader campaign. The U.S. military operation against Iran is being conducted under the designation Operation Epic Fury. According to the official website of the United States Central Command, CENTCOM has been issuing operational updates on Epic Fury since early March of this year, with the command publishing a series of press releases documenting strikes, incidents, civilian safety warnings, and force protection measures throughout the campaign, and this is not the first time American forces have suffered significant losses. On March 12th, CENTCOM confirmed the loss of a KC-135 Stratotanker over Iraq. The KC-135 is an aerial refueling aircraft, the kind of plane that keeps fighter jets airborne during extended combat missions. It is not a frontline combat aircraft. It operates behind the lines, which makes its loss particularly alarming because it suggests either a long-range strike capability by Iranian forces or a catastrophic operational failure in what should have been a relatively protected airspace. By March 13th, 4 crew members had been confirmed deceased. By March 14th, CENTCOM stated that all crew members aboard the KC-135 were confirmed to have perished. Then on March 2nd, CENTCOM disclosed an incident involving 3 U.S. F-15 aircraft over Kuwait. The command described it as a friendly fire incident and confirmed that all pilots were safe. But let that sink in for a moment. 3 American fighter jets firing on or engaging each other in what is supposed to be friendly airspace. That kind of incident speaks to the enormous complexity and chaos of operating a high-tempo air campaign across multiple nations simultaneously. CENTCOM also released a statement on March 26th regarding a non-combat related injury aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln, the aircraft carrier that has been serving as one of the primary launch platforms for Operation Epic Fury. Official U.S. Navy footage released by CENTCOM shows the Lincoln conducting continuous flight operations in the region, launching and recovering aircraft around the clock. Adding all of this together and incorporating the latest F-15E shootdown, the picture that emerges is one of a military campaign that is achieving its offensive objectives but paying a real and growing price in the process. According to Al Jazeera's live conflict tracker, which aggregates data from official sources on all sides, the confirmed human cost of this war so far stands at over 2,076 fatalities inside Iran, at least 24 people killed in Israel from Iranian retaliatory strikes, 13 United States service members killed, and 27 people killed across Gulf states that have been drawn into the conflict. Those Gulf state casualties are directly connected to one of the most alarming escalations of the past several days. Bloomberg reports that Iran has struck Gulf energy sites, targeting critical infrastructure in countries that are American allies. Al Jazeera has provided specific detail, confirming that a desalination plant and an oil refinery in Kuwait were hit by Iranian missile and drone strikes. Fox News reports that Iran's retaliation has included threats against additional American allies in the region following U.S. airstrikes that collapsed what Fox describes as Iran's tallest bridge. This is no longer a conflict contained within Iranian and Israeli borders. The war has expanded into the territories and infrastructure of Gulf nations, threatening civilian water supplies, energy production, and the economic foundations of countries that had hoped to remain on the periphery of this fight. And nowhere is that expansion more dangerous than at the Strait of Hormuz. For anyone unfamiliar with why this narrow waterway matters so much, here is the essential context. The Strait of Hormuz is a choke point between Iran and Oman. Approximately 20% of the world's total oil supply transits through this strait on any given day. When the strait is threatened, global energy markets react immediately and dramatically. According to Bloomberg, Iran has imposed significant restrictions on transit through the strait since the conflict began. The United States has responded by doubling its security guarantees for Hormuz to $40 billion, bringing in new international partners to help protect commercial shipping. Bloomberg also reports that 3 ships recently appeared to exit the strait by using a new route along the Oman coastline, suggesting that alternative navigation corridors are being tested in real time. A French-owned container ship reportedly completed a transit through the strait, marking one of the first successful commercial passages since the restrictions intensified, according to Al Jazeera. However, the situation remains far from resolved. Bloomberg reports that Russia has dismissed a push at the United Nations to force open the Strait of Hormuz through international action. Meanwhile, ships passing through the area are now being charged transit fees denominated in Chinese yuan, a development that Bloomberg notes has boosted Chinese payment-related stocks. That detail might sound small, but it carries enormous geopolitical significance. In the middle of an American military operation, China is quietly expanding the international footprint of its currency through the very crisis that the U.S. is fighting to resolve. The economic consequences of this conflict are no longer theoretical. They are here, they are measurable, and they are spreading. Bloomberg reports that the U.S. economy added 178,000 jobs in March, which topped economist forecasts, and that the unemployment rate fell. Al Jazeera has confirmed the positive jobs data. However, Bloomberg's analysts caution that this data reflects labor market conditions, as the war was just beginning and may not yet capture the full economic disruption that is still building. Fox News reports that the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve has been drawn down by an additional 10 million barrels as the administration works to manage rising energy costs. Fox also reports that Amazon has implemented a 3.5% seller surcharge, explicitly citing increased fuel and logistics costs driven by the Iran conflict. That surcharge means the war is now directly affecting the price of goods that ordinary Americans purchase every single day. Internationally, the ripple effects are just as severe. Bloomberg reports that France is considering targeted fuel aid for its citizens as the war drives up energy costs across Europe. Turkey is weighing increases to its domestic energy prices. The Food and Agriculture Organization has warned that the Middle East conflict is putting upward pressure on global food prices, according to Bloomberg. The Bank of Italy has cut its economic growth forecast. Egypt is holding interest rates steady as the war hammers its currency and inflates fuel costs domestically. The Bank of Japan has said that uncertainty from the Iran war is preventing it from sending clear guidance on its interest rate path. And the European Central Bank's François Villeroy de Galhau has stated that the European economy is now closer to the ECB's worst-case scenario than its baseline projection. This war is functioning as a global economic shock, and its effects are being felt in grocery stores, gas stations, and financial markets on every continent. On the diplomatic front, the fractures are deepening. Bloomberg reports that French President Emmanuel Macron has publicly criticized President Trump and issued a call for European allies to unite in opposition to what Macron characterizes as unilateral American military action. This kind of open criticism from a NATO ally during an active American combat operation is highly unusual and signals serious strain within the Western alliance. President Trump, meanwhile, has pushed forward with a proposed federal budget that reflects the scale of the military commitment. According to both Bloomberg and Al Jazeera, Trump has requested a historic $1.5 trillion for defense in his budget submission to Congress. Bloomberg notes that the overall budget totals $2.2 trillion and pairs the defense increase with significant cuts to domestic agencies. The Pentagon's portion of the budget specifically requests 85 new Lockheed Martin F-35 fighter jets, according to Bloomberg. At the same time, Fox News and Al Jazeera both report that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has fired the U.S. Army Chief of Staff in what is being described as a sweeping leadership purge within the military. This has generated concern among some lawmakers and defense analysts about whether political considerations are being allowed to influence military command decisions during wartime. The Israeli-Palestinian dimension of this broader Middle Eastern crisis continues to generate its own significant developments. Reuters reports that Israel's parliament, the Knesset, has passed a law making death by hanging the default sentence for Palestinians convicted in military courts of carrying out lethal attacks. This legislation fulfills a key demand of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's far-right coalition partners. The international response has been swift and sharp. The European Union has called the law very concerning, according to Reuters. The United Nations has stated that the law violates international law. Spain's Prime Minister has labeled it a step towards apartheid. Reuters also reports that jailed Palestinians and their families in the occupied West Bank have expressed fear that their relatives could face execution without proper legal due process under the new legislation. Separately, Reuters reports that President Trump's so-called Board of Peace has presented Hamas with a disarmament plan. Under this proposal, Hamas would be required to lay down its weapons in stages over an 8-month period and permit the destruction of its extensive tunnel network beneath Gaza. However, according to 3 sources who spoke with Reuters, Hamas has responded by telling mediators that it will not even begin discussing disarmament without first receiving guarantees that Israel will fully withdraw its forces from Gaza as specified in the plan. Reuters has also documented that despite the ceasefire that has been in effect for more than 5 months, Israeli strikes have continued to kill Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. On March 29th, 2 Israeli airstrikes on Hamas-led police checkpoints killed at least 6 Palestinians, including a child, according to local health officials cited by Reuters. On March 28th, the Israeli military killed a 15-year-old Palestinian boy near Bethlehem, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. These ongoing fatalities raise serious questions about the durability and meaning of the ceasefire framework. In the midst of all this, there have been small, deeply human moments that cut through the scale of the devastation. Reuters reports that babies who were evacuated from Gaza as premature newborns 2 years ago have now been returned to their families. The images of parents holding children they had not seen since the earliest, most desperate days of the conflict are a reminder that statistics and geopolitics ultimately come down to individual human lives. And on a battered 5-a-side pitch surrounded by the rubble of destroyed buildings, Jabalia youth took on Al-Sadaqah in what Reuters described as the Gaza Strip's first organized soccer tournament in over 2 years. Now, where does all of this leave us? An American fighter jet is confirmed down in Iran. 1 crew member is safe, the second remains missing. The United States has now lost multiple aircraft and at least 13 service members in Operation Epic Fury. Iran has suffered catastrophic damage to its infrastructure and military capabilities, but retains the ability to strike American aircraft, hit Gulf state energy facilities, and threaten global oil transit through the Strait of Hormuz. The global economy is absorbing shocks across energy markets, food prices, currency valuations, and consumer costs. Western alliances are showing public cracks. The Israeli-Palestinian situation continues to escalate through new legislation, ongoing military operations, and stalled peace negotiations. Al Jazeera reports that President Trump has stated the U.S. will finish the Iran job soon, asserting that strategic objectives are near completion. He has also claimed, according to Al Jazeera's reporting, that with enough time, the United States could take the oil in Iran. Fox News reports Trump has simultaneously threatened further escalation while insisting the end of the conflict is close. But CENTCOM's own record tells a more complicated story. On March 31st, the command issued an official statement refuting media claims of U.S. strikes in the Iranian city of Lamard, demonstrating that the information space around this conflict is nearly as contested as the physical battlefield. Separating verified facts from unverified claims remains one of the most critical challenges for anyone trying to understand what is actually happening on the ground. What is not in dispute is this. The downing of this F-15E marks a serious and sobering moment in this conflict. It forces a confrontation with the reality that wars, even those waged by the most technologically advanced military in human history, carry costs that cannot be fully controlled or predicted. Every aircraft lost, every crew member in danger, every civilian casualty, and every economic tremor radiating outward from this conflict represents a consequence that will be felt long after the last missile is fired. We will continue tracking every verified development as this situation evolves. The search for the second crew member is ongoing right now, and the outcome of that search may well define the next chapter of this conflict. If this breakdown helped you understand what is truly happening, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. We do not chase rumors, we chase facts. And right now, The facts demand your attention. Share this with someone who needs to see it. The world is watching this unfold in real time, and so should you. Stay informed. Stay sharp. We will see you in the next update.